This week we're talking about Machikoro. Machikoro is a dice rolling city building game for 2 to 4 people. Very simple to get going. You purchase industry to generate resources, use those resources to build the landmarks that win you the game.
Yeah, this is a really good game. My family and I really like this. First of all, it's a beautiful game. Very colorful, nice variety of colors. And what's nice about that is when you're playing the game, it's very easy to glance down and tell when you're involved with a dice roll or not. Because it is primarily a dice rolling game, which means it relies on a little bit of probability. That's okay, that's fine. I mean, tons of games are, and this is just another one of those games. However, when the dice gets rolled, it activates certain cards, and the cards are nice and colorful enough so that you can tell immediately whether or not you're involved or not. I also like the quality of the cards and the quality of the artwork. It's cute. It's pretty little pictures there. It's nice to look at. It's engaging. My daughter really enjoys this game. You can see her. She's looking at everything here, kind of looking at all the pictures, looking at all the little details here. I like the cardboard coins that they give you here. The nice hard coins. They're easy to manipulate. It's a good game. Now, one of the things though is because it's a probability game, you're rolling the dice here. There's some issues with probability. When you start the game, okay, the cards that you're going to get here are going to get activated every time you roll that particular number here, which means they got a 1 in 6 chance of getting rolled, which is kind of a neat thing because they've got all equally probable. Now, there's a little bit of overlap here with the cards. So when a 2 gets rolled, you might be able to activate 2 of your cards or the 3. 4 is a wonderful card. Okay, now we don't want to go through all the cards here and everything that they do here, but 4 is a wonderful card. It's a really powerful card. If you get 2 or 3 of those together, they can really generate a lot of money. You can, if you want, you could play this whole game and never transition over to the second part of the game where you get to use the second dice, which is kind of neat. My son, for example, we played a game once and he kicked all of our butts, and all he ever did was stock up on these 1 cards. And it just turned out that 1 got rolled a whole bunch of times. And he just figures that's the best strategy possible.
Now this is where my problems with the game really start. So yes, you start with 1 die and you eventually purchase a landmark that allows you to roll 2 dice and open up all the different possibilities that happen with those extra numbers. The problem is there's 0 incentive to move into that second die. First of all, it reduces the odds that you're going to roll the stuff you've already built and you spend half the game working up to. Second, it's going to increase the odds that something positive for your opponents is going to happen. Now, there's a little bit of payoff in the higher cost cards, but honestly, it's not enough that the lower probability of, say, rolling a 12 versus a 7 is going to justify that extra expense. Speaking of expense, these purple cards are a huge cost to build, and they do very little for you. In the last several games I've played, no one's even considered to purchase them, which is a shame because they offer some of the only interactivity that this game has, which is another one of my big problems with it. You will sit here and you will build up your little city, and then everyone is playing solitaire with dice. You roll your dice, you wait to see if you get resources and can build your landmarks to win the game, and everyone else is doing the same thing. There's no choices to be made. There's no going after opponents. You know, the few cards that do steal from opponents and interact with them are either super expensive or low impact. And in addition to being low impact, they're totally random. There's no way to target specific people with huge advantages to kind of claw your way back into the game. Once you get behind, you're staying behind, and it's kind of a big exercise in frustration because no amount of smart play is going to get you back into the game. You're just kind of sitting, rolling, watching the dice not turn up for you until you eventually lose. There's no way to kind of take that leader down a peg or steal a few resources from him to maybe slow him down a bit. Once someone's ahead, they're going to stay ahead. Finally, there are some gaps that experienced players are going to notice. You know, new players, it's a great introductory game for them. It makes a lot of sense right away. There's some good overlap in, like he said, your 2s and 3s, your 9s and 10s, stuff like that. But in numbers like 5, 7, there's one choice. It's not great. There's really nothing you can do with it. most people are going to avoid it altogether. You want more options for how you build your city and how you win your game. Do you go with all blue cards? Do you mix in more green cards? Do you go for red cards and try to approach people and attack them? It'd be great if you had these options, but all you're doing is just picking numbers that you think are going to be rolled a lot. And like we said before, if you move into the second die, you're going to cripple yourself, so you just sit around rolling one die for 20 minutes.
Now having said that, and I agree with Josh. Josh has made some really good points here. However, even if you are falling behind, you're trying to claw your way back up here, it's a quick game. It's a very quick game. You're not going to be clawing your way for very long. Eventually someone's going to beat you, and then you just start a new game. The nice thing about this game is it's the kind of game you could probably play 2, maybe 3 times in a night, because you can get through it really, really quickly here. Additionally, I understand where Josh is coming from. Josh likes these in-your-face sort of games, and attacking sort of game here. Yeah, there are times when this is like playing solitaire, a little solitaire dice game here. However, that's not a bad thing. Particularly if you got people that aren't particularly interested in combat when they're playing. Some people just want to play a nice game, kind of get the idea that, I played a game, we had a good evening, and move on from there. But I do understand Josh wants to have that feeling of victory.
Jeremy, it's not that I want to go after anyone in particular. I don't need my games to be particularly aggressive towards one person or the other. I like playing cooperative games as well. The problem is, why do you play board games if you don't want to interact with the people that you brought to your gaming group? You're all going to be sitting at the table anyways. You might as well have something to do with each other instead of just around each other. They're your friends, theoretically. You want to be able to enjoy the game with them, even sometimes in spite of them if they're a player more like me.
Well, see, and there it is, right there. See, not everybody wants that. Anyway, it's a good game. We were talking before we did this thing. I think together we can agree that probably on a scale of 1 to 10, we both rate this at about a 7.
Yeah, I'd comfortably rate this at a 7. It's great for people who are new to board gaming or don't play board games that often, families, small kids, things like that. Or if you're an experienced group that has a little bit of time left in your evening that you want to play something quickly. Like I said, 20 minutes, you can bang out a game of this and then call it a night. So yeah, for advanced people, it's not going to have much to offer them, but for new people or bringing people into the hobby, it's definitely a good starting point.